Two people lost candy today. Okay. Here is Georgia. So we can see that with red circle, I'm colorblind, I hope it's right. With red circle, it's Nebraska, it's United States, and with red star, it's Georgia. So people ask me if it's Europe or Asia. And to be honest, nobody knows. Why? Because it's exactly in the middle, and there are 3 variations of border setting between Europe and Asia. So with 2 variations, it's Asia, with 1 variation, it's Europe. I don't think I can tell you, but culturally, none of them. Culturally, it doesn't have many things in common with Europe, and it does not have common things with Asia. I would say it's pretty unique. And today, we will talk about why is it unique. All right. If we zoom in on Georgia, we will see that. So it is east of Black Sea, south of Russia, north of Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Our population is 3.7 million. Yeah, I know, it's pretty low. It's not much. And I would say the size of Georgia is probably 1/4 of Nebraska. It is small. And the capital city is Tbilisi, and we will talk about it later. Okay. Probably you saw that already. I have very, very tricky question. I have the trickiest question. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Great. So it is the question that 90% of foreigners fail. Is Georgia Russia? Who knows the answer?
No.
I need one person to give candy to Riley.
No.
Yes! You're wrong. It is not Russia. And can every one of you see the history behind me dedicating one slide to that? Georgia is not Russia? Because people are being like, where's Georgia? Russia? What language do you speak? Russian? Like, something like that. Where were your parents from? Russia? Oh, I'm perfectly fine with questions. Like, I love when people ask questions. But the second part sometimes annoys me. It really annoys me sometimes. So I would say that Georgia is a unique nation. And why is it related to Russia? And why most of the people think that it might be part of Russia. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Were you born in Russia?
No. Good question. And Georgia is a unique nation, I would say. It's related to Russia, and we'll talk about why. But we're not even historically related. They are Slavics, and we've been Georgians for almost 2 millennia, and we've been Georgians after that. So sometimes I say that we are practically a different race, because we've been this kind of pure blood for too long. Okay, let's see what Georgia looks like. but that has a special prize, that is fridge magnet from Georgia that was probably made in China. Kidding. That was a joke. Okay, what do you think, what language do you think we speak in Georgia? Please. Georgian? What language do we speak in Georgia? I cannot hear you. Does it say it somewhere? How did you know it?
My mom was to play there last year.
She just... She basically told me Georgian in Georgian language. Thank you. Yeah, I was expecting Georgian or Russian or something like that. Actually, I was not expecting that. Thank you. Okay. That is Georgian alphabet. That looks nothing like Russian, right? So, we have 33 letters in our alphabet, out of which 5 is vowel and 28 is consonant. So it's like simple enough, we don't have any weird things. And yeah, I know some of you think that it looks like O, but with different gaps in different places. Yeah, I've heard that before. Alright. So, religion. I really want to talk about it today, because it is main characteristic and main value of Georgia. So it might be kind of hard to imagine, like if that one country and has kind of probably 90% of the population with the same religion and same church, but we do, because we are one nation. In one nation, I mean, we have the same history, we have same origin. We've been Georgians before Christ 2 millennia, that's for sure, probably earlier than that. So that's why we kind of have same religion, same beliefs, same values, not much of a diversity. It's just all Georgians. So I would say that 86% of Georgian population is Orthodox Christian. Well, Orthodox is a branch of Christianity. Like when it was first Christianity, it was, I think, 11th century, when they split to Catholics and Orthodox. And Orthodox is the eastern part and is Georgian. So, how does it affect everything? Our flag has crosses, because we are a Christian nation. That is our national emblem to the right, and it has a picture of Saint George, because Orthodox Church has saints. And all of the below are churches in Georgia. And when we were watching the video on the previous slide, you would probably see that kind of building everywhere, because that is the most frequent building that you might find in Georgia. And yes, that is the church, and mainly these churches are built on the top of mountains, on the top of cliffs, and they were mainly built in 4th century or 10th century. And for me, I find it sometimes very amazing, not sometimes, but I find it very special that back in 4th century, when people had no technology, no things to build a church, no things to transit and elevate the building materials on the top of mountain, but they built it anyway. For me, it means this kind of huge dedication to their beliefs. And the national emblem, I don't know if you can see it, but it has 2 words below it. It sounds like Zala Irtobashia, and it means that power is in being together. So power is in being one, whole, united. And we would build those churches on top of mountains because we were dedicated, but also we are war-based culture. It means that, I will talk about it. Our whole culture, whole beliefs are based on war, based on military. Because we've been fighting for, I don't know, God knows how many years, centuries and millennia. And we would build these churches onto the mountains so that it would be less easily approachable by the enemy who would burn our churches down. And I'll talk about it later. So, that is Georgia again. And it is divided by regions. We call them corners. And it's like how the United States are divided by states, and each state has its own state government and one federal government. Our regions here, they don't have state government or region government, something like that. We have only one federal government, and they are divided more like culturally, because every region that you see has their unique culture, unique traditions. There's two regions at the Black Sea coast, the yellow one and the orange one, I guess so. They have their own languages. These two have their own separate languages. They use Georgian alphabet, but why? And as I said, they had different kind of traditional clothes, so you would be able to tell where they were from. Okay, so let's talk about Georgian values. Georgian values are something like cultural roots, our beliefs, our faith, our ideology. How do we understand the world? How is it different from the US? Why? What do we want? Where did we come from? So that's a good place to speak about it. So that is list of the most important battles, and not that you have to read it, but just to look how many it is. And it is the list that says the most important battles. And there is another list, 100 times bigger, that says list of battles. And the list of the most important battles. And who were those people? Who were we fighting? What were we fighting for? We were fighting for our cultural identity, and for Georgia it's three things: fatherland, language, and faith. And fatherland, the upper three words, it's in Georgian, pronounced as mamuli. It is quite a unique word, because I could not find direct translation for it in English language, so it's just fatherland would be the closest one. Because mamuli in Georgian is a land that was once owned by your father, by your father's father and father's father, and it goes like that to infinity. And the place where the bones of your predecessors are kept. So that one word contains it all. And we were fighting for that, because that was our belief, that was our cultural identity. And we knew that if we would lose any of those one, language, faith, Christianity, if we lose it, we would lose ourselves. An enemy that was the greatest empires of all time. It was Persians, then Arabics, Turkish, Mongolians, Tamil, Russians, all those great empires of that time. We were fighting against them. And not a separate group of them, but the whole empires. That's the reason why we're like 3.7 billion right now. And why? If we go back to our map, there is Georgia, right? And in ancient times, east of Georgia, there was no Christian nation. There was no Christian country. It is the last Christian country. So it means that if enemy would go where? From Asia, right? Turkish, Mongolians, Arabics, they came from eastern part. And they were going to Europe to fight them, to spread their religion and take European people's identity and religion and beliefs from them. who are they going to fight first? Georgia. Because why? Geographically, it's the first one to fight against. So they were smart enough to know that if they took those three things from us, language, if they took God, they would defeat us. So they would burn churches, they would do many, many, many terrible things. But every year, every month, there was never peace in Georgia. And, well, that's why. And I'll tell you a story. Sorry. Once, back in Georgia, I was 12. And there was one European person, I cannot really tell where was he from. And he told me, you know what, you're a ridiculous country. Why? Because you have like 3.7. We did not have 3.7 there when I was 12, we have 2 point something. And you have like up to 3 million population. Everyone, every empire that's ever been, they fought against you. Who felt inclined to fight each other and thinking every day while waking up, I've been thinking about it. And I'm like, wow. Like, we are 2 million because we actually won. Because we're still Georgians, we are still who we were. We still have faith, we still have our language, we still have our identity. And that's why our whole culture is based on military. What does it mean? Let's start with it. Hello in Georgian is Gambarjoba. Anyone wants to try it? Together? Together? Gambarjoba. Okay, and it is very good. I'm proud of you. It is translated as victory. So why? In ancient times, probably if you would see Georgian, probably these Georgians heading to war. Why else would you see them? So you would say victory is hard to just wish them victory in a war. How are you? How are you? We ask it like probably like if you've overheard me talking to people on Georgian, that's always how I start with. It means, are you in peace? Because that's back in those times, that would be the one thing that you would ask someone, are you in peace? Do you have peace? And it means have a peace. So when you say goodbye to someone, you wish them peace, because that's the thing that we don't have. Okay. And our traditional clothes. So these are the idea to walk into school with swords, so I loved it. And like I asked, despite everything, despite that we are like 3.7 million, despite that we had to fight against great empires, despite all Georgians will not kill themselves. Like they won't give up. Because Georgians shall only die in a war. Because we think that Georgian is only meant to die in a war. And we also have this verse that your life does not belong to you, neither this statue that is mother of Tarkashvili. That was really funny though, he joked. So it means that mother of Georgia is a mother who will raise a true hero that will fight the enemy like enemy. I mean, treat enemy like enemy with a sword, treat a friend like a friend with a Bible. And because of that, we value the word mother. We value it so much that it kind of, I'm not saying that people here don't value it. I'm not really saying that. I don't want to misunderstand it. So, cultural differences. The first one is mom joke. For example, oh, this flag looks strange. Your mom looks strange. Because of that, because they have probable cause. You joked or you offended their mom. They won't get arrested. Don't do that. Okay. The next one is, how is it going? How are you? I want everyone here to raise their hand. If you ask you, how are you? I expect you to sit down and, oh, I had a terrible day. My kid failed the class and I'm still 16 and I still have not paid off my student loan. You can tell me that. That's why I ask it. Right? I don't need to hear good. Why would I ask it that, right? So, like when you ask me how am I, probably you should think twice because I might really tell you. Okay, next thing, waiting. That is kind of interesting thing that I had really hard time adjusting it. For example, when you're on second period and the bell rings, what do? Get up and go, right? What Georgians do, they wait each other. They wait till they pack, and there is no way. I don't care if I get tardy, if someone is dying over there and having it's collapsed on the floor. I don't care. I will wait for you till you pack, and then I will leave. Like if we us two are in a restaurant, you got the food, I did not. I don't. Vice versa. I got the food, you did not. I don't care if it gets cold. I'll wait. I don't care. So, punctuality. I would say that American people really respect punctuality because, like, my host parents, they like to have people over at times and they like to host people. And sometimes people are like, hey, Kristen is my host mom, by the way. Hey, Kristen, we will be late for 1 minute and 42 seconds or something. Like, I was shocked. If in Georgia, if I'm late for 20 minutes, I'm like, yay, I made it on time. So, relationship towards strangers. Like, I'm sure you've noticed, like, people here, when they pass by you, and they're like, hi, how are you, and waving at you, saying hi, smiling at you. In Georgia, if someone does that, you might get concerned. Do they have mental issues? Why are they saying no? Like, it was my first day here, and our in waitress or cashier, I don't really remember, asked me, how is your day going today? I'm like, hey, Kristen, do I answer that question? And she says, yes. And I'm like, okay. That's, because like in Georgia, waitress would be, or cashier or consultant at the store would be like, what do you want? And apologizing, I would say that is, people here are very polite. I really love those people. They like to say sorry when they're passing in front of you, when they accidentally touch you, when they, I don't know, everything. And in Georgia, I would say sorry if I knocked someone out or something like that. It's very crazy and extreme things. I don't have it on slides, but there is another cultural difference, it's called friends. Like here, how people call friends acquaintances, right? So if you talk to someone, if you know the person, you might say, oh, he's my friend. In Georgia, you would say he's my friend if you'd known him for 11 years, if you would die for him, if you would, I don't know, if you would trust him with your own life, you would say he's my friend. And stereotypes about Georgians. So, my host parents, again, once decided to Google stereotypes about Georgians and find out if it was true, if it was close to reality. And I'm telling you, it could not be more true. They are extremely proud. Someone said, yeah. They love eating bread and drinking wine. And eating bread is something like, I brought pounds of bread at home and locked it in the freezer. Like, my parents hate me because of that. I'm joking, of course. If you open the freezer, there is 99% chance that one bread will fall off and hit your head because it's full. Alright? So they fight to keep their honor. They think they are better than anyone. That is bad. That is really bad. They are hospitable and I'm punctual. High school in Georgia. So that is, I think, kind of interesting topic. Here you divide like elementary school, middle school, high school. We don't. We just don't care. School, we have just school where you step in when you're 6 and step out when you're 18. So we have like 12-year education, but we don't really divide it. It's like every kid is in one building, but on different levels. And so we have 12 years of education. How is it different? We cannot choose our subjects. Even at our senior year, we cannot. The principal is like, or government's like, I decided that and I don't care if you want it or not, you will take it. And also, here is a thing that we don't have all the 8 lessons every day. We have different lessons every day. You might have chemistry only 3 times a week, I'm sure you do. You might have anatomy only twice a week. Every week looks the same, but every day does not. That is my high school. These are kids on Georgian Independence Day dressed like me. This is my physics teacher explaining physics. And here is some guy in a school hallway disinfecting the school. Yeah, weird. That is high school life. So it's me on the stage with my band on graduation party, and our graduation party looks pretty different. Like here on graduation party, you have this blue thing, I don't even know it in English, and blue hat, right? Thanks, Cadence. And people have like a bunch of Sharpies, and they write kind wishes on our shirt. And that is on the below pictures. To the left, it's me presenting about Georgian writer, and the last picture is me presenting for National Alphabet Day in front of school. So there is a thing that here, there is, for example, Mr. Meyer's room, Mr. Tomjak's room, and children are like, oh, I have chemistry, I have to go to Mr. Tomjak's room, right? In Georgia, it's not like that. There are rooms for separate classes. For example, there will be class of Senior A, Senior B, Senior C, and Mr. Meyer will be like, oh, I have Senior A class, and he comes to your classroom. You don't move, teachers move. So because of that, you have same classmates for 12 years. You will get bored of them. I'm kidding, because we're like brothers and sisters. I would trust all of them with my life. Because we were like, we grew together. This is the last mean girl is my best friend. I hope she never finds out I said that. Okay. Oh, and before that, here are some differences in schools that I found out. For example, I would say that the first I was shocked. I would name it as a difference. Because I stepped into the class and someone, I don't remember who it was, but was like, hey, Chief, these computers are awesome. And I'm like, I opened my eyes wide. Hey, Boma or something. Hey, Tomjak, you do that in Georgia school, you're expelled. Like, hey, Mr. Boma. That's how it went. Traditional food. I cooked some of them here, so probably I would not go into details about recipes, but so anyone can anyone raise their hand right now? Without knowing what you're raising for? Thanks. Would you give me a number from 1 to 6? Sweet. Okay, I cooked it here, by the way, and it is called Tarkashvili. Tarkashvili. I can't believe I'm making you repeat these words. Okay, so and it's basically made with wild plums, tarragon, 3 pounds of herbs like cilantro and parsley. No, it does not taste like soup. And beef or lamb, you choose. And it's kind of a pretty unique thing. I'll cook for you if you have a chance. Okay, so ancient wine-making culture. Georgia is known to be the first country of winemaking history, because the ancient samples, the first samples of wine are discovered in Georgia. So these are vineyards, and we have this kind of very special relationship with vineyards and with grapes and with winemaking. It's also because we're a Christian nation, and Bible says that, Christ says that it's blood of Christ, so that's why we respect it. But here are some fun videos that I found that you should see to understand how we value it.
Gave the world aviation, Germany gave it a car, Britain gave it the internet, but George's contribution was much more profound and important. You see, Georgia gave the world wine.
More important than anything else, right? Kidding. Okay, so the next thing I want you to see is actually a scene from a movie. That movie is called Father of Soldier, and the setting is in Germany. It happens in Germany, and it's Second World War. So it's basically Georgian soldier and for Russians, because back then we were kind of friends. It was Soviet Union.
See, the thing is, America gave the world.
Do I do the same? Yes. Fix it. What's the last shot? I will come back to it if we have time. I hope it works at least, because I really want you to see it. It is Georgian dance. And I made it so I hope it doesn't go crazy. Anyone please raise a hand if you have a guess of what it is. But not Cora, you should tell me what is it used for. Austin. I know why you know that. Okay. You're right. Okay, good job. This is for drinking wine. And the most frivolous question is that, okay, supposing you drink half of it, how do you set it back? You don't drink all of it. Exactly, someone said it. You drink all of it. Come on now. That is also for drinking wine. It's also a small replica or of crockery where we store our wine. So the only neck of it is visible. The other part, down part, is buried in the ground. All right. Let's move. Political vision. I will not really go into details, and we'll end in probably 10 minutes or something. So, political vision, I would say that Georgia is a conservative country. Our whole values and beliefs are preserving of what our our predecessors believed. I would say that Georgia is a conservative country. And political situation. So that slide answers the question why I freaked out here on when the fire drill alarm went off. I was like, whoa. At the Black Sea coast side, it was occupied back in 1991, and in the middle part was occupied in 2008. And this second picture, they sent me the second picture on Halloween, and it said that ghosts are not scary, but living next to Russia is. Because we don't know what might happen. So that is kind of protest in action, that 20% of my country is occupied by Russia. They have a sign that says it. And right now, Russians who are escaping from the war to Georgia, Georgian people met them at borders with a sign that Russian deserters were not welcome. Do I agree with that? To be honest, no. To be honest, no. Why? Because politics have nothing to do with people. We should not unwelcome people just because of their politics. Because they are just people. They are kids. They are old women. They had nothing to do with all of this. So that is the War of August. 08. And when I was 3, I have this scene on top of my mind. The first one, because my town looked exactly like that, with random people in the streets. And these are Russian army, parts of them entering the border with tanks. So that day they occupied the middle part. And that is how our Facebook looks like. Every August 8th, it looks like we posted, we remember. And if you notice, I posted it in 2016. I was 10, like turning to 11, and I posted, I remember. And that is kind of sad, because 10-year-old should be happy, should thinking about something else than, I remember the dead woman in the street. You know what I mean? So, every OA looks like that. We remember 2008, and Russia is occupying, because that's what every Georgian's Facebook and social media looks like at that date. Because of that, military service in Georgia is mandatory at the age of 18. When you're 16, they come and assign you. That, are you healthy? You don't have a choice if you're healthy. Well, technically you can mutilate yourself, but why would we do that, right? So, like even now, I'm assigned. At the age of 18, I will have to go. And by the way, I forgot something. I forgot when I was talking about the differences between high schools. Did you know that no one in Georgia drives to high school? How many of you drive here? Exactly, no one drives at the high school, because in order to get a driver's license, you have to go through pain, struggle, 4 steps of exams, money. I don't know, it's just, well, technically you can drive without driver's license and pray that police won't stop you. Thank you so much. notre revue suisse.